Welcome to the Great Lakes Fishing Podcast presented by Fishhawk Electronics. If you're looking for news, tips, and stories about fishing the Great Lakes, you've come to the right place. And now your host, Chris Larson.
Welcome to the Great Lakes Fishing Podcast. Our guest today is Ian Britton from Kings on the Run Sport Fishing in Scarborough, Ontario. Ian, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Pleasure to be part of the show.
Your home port is Scarborough and Bluffers Park on Lake Ontario. Tell our audience a little bit about that area.
Yeah, you got it. Well, it's just the eastern part of Toronto, home to 10 million people who work and play around this area. So lots of fishing opportunities on Lake Ontario here in Toronto. And for the most part, we're pretty busy out here. The fishing's pretty good. World class, we like to call it.
Yeah, a lot of awesome fishing, but like you said, a lot of people too. So you've got Toronto in your rear view mirror. Makes for some great photo opportunities. But what is that pressure like when you're fishing out in that area?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's it's great to have anybody out here. We're fortunate to have some structure out here where I fish. So we pretty much have a really good area to fish on this side of the lake on the North Shore. But as far as the pressure goes, I mean, there's tons of boats on the water. Maybe not so much this year as there is in previous years, but we got big tournaments, we got big fish, and we got good times.
Yeah, how do you handle that as a captain, Ian, kind of getting around the traffic that you may see, especially on a weekend trip?
Well, I guess the popular term is googans these days, right? But, it's, you just be courteous to everyone. I mean, simple as that. And, there's a lot of new, young, novice anglers out here. And, we all started somewhere, somehow. So as long as you're patient, kind of predict what's going to happen every once in a while. Obviously, with that many boats around, things go sideways sometimes. But, hey, it's good. It's easy. And I think the best thing is just to remember that everybody starts somewhere.
You talked a little bit about the structure in that area. Tell us about the structure. What are you fishing when you're out there doing your thing out of Bluffers?
Well, we have, the name Bluffers Park Marina is because of the bluffs or the cliffs that we can see from the lake that are, a few hundred feet high. We, a couple miles offshore, we have another bluff underneath the water. And as most anglers know, structure is a lot of things. For an open basin lake like this, it's pretty rare to have some structure like that. So obviously it holds fish and bait, and it's got some good currents and things. So that's why I'm here, because in my eyes, it's the best fishing opportunity during the summer months here in Toronto.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what a day would be like. What's a typical day like out on the Kings on the Run?
Well, I guess we try to capitalize for the sunrise or sunset. I try to make sure my trips are maximized for the king salmon feeding behavior there. So, leave port half an hour before the sun comes up. Lines are down, ready to go for when that sun crests over the lake, and, maximize our first, light bite. Same thing with the evening trip. As the, evening closes in, the sun sets down, the kings really amp up their feeding behavior, and that's when you make sure that all your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, and let the mayhem begin, right?
What does your typical program look like in the morning, Ian, when you're setting those lines out? How many lines are you setting? What are you putting on those lines?
Well, I mean, we're allowed 2 rods per angler here, but it doesn't always mean that, we need to run that amount of rods, right? So, in the morning, I like to be able to have some quick action, maybe a couple of dipsy divers with flashers and maybe a fly or some meat and even a spoon, some glow material. And then as the sun comes up, go to something that's a little more reflective that'll draw the attention of the salmon as they come in and see what we're offering.
Is that changed in the evening then? What does your evening setup look like compared to the morning?
Well, in the evening trips, we generally start out. All depends on cloud cover and whatnot, but I mean, the more attractant, the more flash you can bring, the better. And then, of course, in the evening closes in, maybe you want to look at something a little more subtle, maybe some glow, something to stand out rather than flash.
Boat's called Kings on the Run. Lake Ontario is known for kings. Tell us about the kings that someone may encounter on a trip with you.
So our fish are almost 4 years old here. The last year of their life, they pretty much double their size. So our mature fish this year are anywhere from 14 to, so far the biggest fish in the lake that I know of is 32 this year. So 14 to 32 pounds. And obviously, they all have individual personalities. Some of the teenagers fight harder than the mid-20s fish, but there's nothing better than hearing that drag scream out from a king, right?
Good times. What about other species? Now, I actually was on a trip with you a couple years ago. It was before I worked with Fishhawk, but I was on a boat with you, and we caught some different species. Tell us about the multi-species opportunities out of Bluffers and on the northern side of Lake Ontario.
So there's, our main draw is the king or Chinook salmon there. We have its cousin, the coho salmon here. Great stocking program for that fish, and probably the most sought after meat fish in our lake. But the kings would be sought after, obviously, for the fight. And then we have steelhead, we have browns, we have lakers. We have an Atlantic salmon program. Call them unicorns because we only get a few every year. But that's really about it. I mean, the main three that I target are kings, coho, and steelhead.
And how does that fishery kind of evolve throughout the year? What is it like fishing there from the spring through the summer? How do things change with the season?
Well, what I find is, it's big water, it's big lake, so winds will affect the temperature of the lake. So as you mentioned, the fish hawk there, very important to have out on the lake to figure out the temperature and the thermocline of where our cold water fish are going to be. Basically they're layered for me, steelhead, coho, and then kings. But obviously when those big kings are around, they're a little bit of bullies, and they don't really let the other fish in too close to the bait. So they're usually in a different spot, more out in the open water. And that's probably what we did. We went offshore there and we got a mixed bag of king, steelhead, and coho.
Ian, what is the most rewarding part of being a charter captain?
I guess it's the smiles and the enjoyment that you see someone get out of catching their biggest fish in their life, or hearing them say that. It never gets old. But the smiles, the energy, it's real, right? I mean, there's nothing better than seeing someone, still have that fish on their Facebook profile 3 years later, right? It means something, obviously, because the individual's had it there for a long time, and happy customer, repeat customer, and good business sense. But hey, you come out and have a good time, and that's what it's all about. And whether it be coho, king, or steelhead, this lake is just incredible for what it has to offer. We call it a world-class fishery, day in, day out, because it's just that amazing.
What's the most difficult part about being a charter captain?
I guess the difficult times, the stress when the fish aren't cooperating right. We get a hard north wind blowing, and it moves our warm water out to the middle of the lake. Maybe the middle of the lake's a little too rough for every customer. And, the grind of trying to get those kings or that bite to go in tough conditions, right? I mean, that can be the stress, but, once you, had it not too long ago, maybe 3-4 days ago, it was a slow trip. We had a few fish. It was a slow pick. And then the biggest fish comes at the end of the day, and, the excitement and their eyes and their smiles is what makes it all worthwhile. But I guess that's about the most stressful part, is making sure that fish cooperate. But all you can do is, put the odds in your favor, make sure your speed's right, your temperature's right, your bait's right, and go from there.
You've been fishing since you've been young. Fishing is really all you do now. You live and breathe it. What is it about fishing that's drawn you to it and made it your life?
Well, I guess it's just being on the water is peaceful, right? Stress levels are down. The only stress seems to be what we bring on the boat or what happens on the boat. For the most part, just like this year with COVID, unless you talk about it, you don't think about it. So it's definitely a de-stressor, but past that, we're made up mostly of water, so there's got to be an attraction, a draw there naturally somehow. But for me, it's just peaceful, and it's entertaining, and it's a unique office space for sure.
Yeah, you brought it up there, COVID-19. How has that affected your business and what you do for a living this year?
Well, you know what? It's I guess there's some battles there for sure, but you do what you can, clean the boat every day after every trip with the right cleaners, and let people know that you've done your best to make sure that the boat is safe. And from there, I mean, people generally are looking to get away and drop that consistent, topic in their head. So just to be able to unwind a little bit and feel at home and feel safe on the water in the sunshine, a little bit less stress is probably good for everyone.
Is there something that you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask you about today?
No, I just, I just the fish hawk. I mean, I wouldn't fish without it. First thing I do is put the probe down and look for temperature and see where my long lines, my dipsies, and my riggers should be at, and we watch it for speed and temperature all day. And we got a new hot product out here in Canada called from Hot Fish Lures. Great meathead and flies, and man, I tell you, it's hard to get a hold of those meatheads up here because they're catching fish. So, yeah, they're definitely catching fish, long-lasting glow heads, and got the right roll. I mean, anybody can spin a meathead, but if you can roll it properly, you got some definitely big fish coming in.
If someone wants to book a trip with you out of that Toronto area, how do they reach you?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing to do is just look online, right? Kings on the Run Sport Fishing. You're going to find me on Google Maps. The website address is kingsontherun.com. You can have a look there. You can just give me a call. All the information's on the website or through Google. I mean, pretty much now people just need the name of the business, I guess, right?
That's right. No more phone books.
No, I mean, things are doing well up here. We got some nice weather, and I think we've had more heat days this year than we had in the last 2 years combined, and the fish seem to be cooperating. So, through August, we're going to see some of those fish those big kings start to change color. I got a nice dark one the other day, but obviously they go in stages up the rivers. It's amazing to see how fast they change and how fast, they grow in this last year.
Well, good luck the rest of the season. Everybody I talked to said that part of Lake Ontario is absolutely on fire right now. So if you want to get a hold of Ian, check him out at kingsontherun.com. He's also on Instagram.
I am at Kings on the Run, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I got some interesting videos on TikTok on Kings on the Run, too. It's quite a unique video platform there, but lots of followers there. Somebody told me I was TikTok famous the other day, so who knows? We'll see what happens.
I will have to check that out.
Check it out. There's some cool videos on there.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ian. Really appreciate having you on.
Okay. Take care of yourself, brother. Thanks for the call, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Great Lakes Fishing Podcast presented by Fishhawk Electronics. For more information on fishing the Great Lakes, visit our blog at fishhawkelectronics.com.